What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and in this video I'd like to talk about 3 different cryptos that we talk about pretty regularly on this channel. We're going to talk about first Zora, Z-O-R-A, then we will talk about KTA, Kita, and finish off the video talking about Cookie DAO. Okay, so Zora, KTA, Cookie DAO, that's what we're going to do. Okay, it is the 9th day of November today. Here we are at about 6.3 cents for Zora, 7 hours, 10 minutes left in the day. And I do want to say ahead of time, we're getting ready to go to church. So if you hear any screaming, that's just my daughter screaming as my wife is putting up her hair because she doesn't like having her hair put up. So if you hear that, just don't mind it. You know, everything should be fine. Although I think they got it done with. I kind of waited for all the screaming to come to an end, so maybe we're good. But anyways, screams of joy, my friends. Looking at the lows here to the highs. We have found support at the golden ratio zone. We've come right down to the area that really for most of this range we were very heavily considering that we would go to. I did consider that we would find support, you know, somewhere between like 7 cents and 6.3 cents. At least below 8 cents is what we were thinking. But there was a moment where we got a little bit excited, but I'm just being too literal here, right? For most of this time, we were expecting that we would come down to this golden ratio zone, find support, and well, we're here now. A lot of people up here wish that they bought down here. I wonder how many people are actually taking it upon themselves to buy, because Zora likely from here does continue to grow. And I do expect that what we're going to see from a high to a low here overall would be something that takes us, I genuinely believe, something that takes us up to this zone here by the end of the year. Now, we could see less, we could see more. From a percentage standpoint, where it is now, that's a minimum of a 7.2x move over the next month and a half to maybe an 18, almost a 19x move. And I know that those are some large gains, some very fantastic gains, but we've seen this kind of stuff happen before. Yes. I'm aware Zora has a higher market cap now, but it's got a higher market cap. It's on more exchanges. It's got more exposure. Zora right now, even with a higher market cap, is still only at $280 million. It's a pretty low market cap coin. You could see a 10x. You could see a 20x from this. Easy, no problem. By the end of this year, absolutely. Look at what Zcash has done. It's had a way higher market cap than Zora does, right? Don't let that thought trip you up, right? It's completely possible. Here's something that goes against the grain for what most people would think, okay? Most people might look at this move here as a one-off. Okay, all right, that happened once, but you're not going to get it again. And maybe to some degree you're right. Maybe we won't see this exact move happen again. Maybe you don't pull, you know, in a 5-day span, you don't pull another near 6x move. Okay, maybe that doesn't happen. You don't grow at that pace. But I really wouldn't be surprised if from this low point here to the high point of this next move, wherever it is that we go, I wouldn't be surprised if we stopped at a higher price than what that move promoted here, than what this move promoted here. And in which case, we might think, you know, something above $1 is a completely adequate target by the end of this year. And I mean, the pace at which we moved, if we take it from the low here, you know, we put it at this low, we could be at $1 in the beginning of December. Again, I don't think we're going to move at this pace. I just think that we could see something that is overall larger than this move. I really do think that we could. And with that, you know, something around like 75 cents to $1.17 is something to consider. A lot of cryptos recently have actually been hitting their money zones, the cryptos that are standing out, that are pumping. And Zora is definitely one of those cryptos that stands out. Maybe not lately, but back in October it was standing out, right? A lot of people were excited about Zora there. It's completely possible that we do go into the money zone at $1.64 to $2.20. It just depends on how we move through here, okay? If we're more methodical on our way up, right? If we're more methodical like this, we probably stop at our 2618. If we're just erratic and explosive, well, we have a real chance of going to $1.64 to $2.20 by the end of the year, by the end of 2025. So that's our next target area in all aspects. You know, Zora from here, primary target would be 21 to 32 cents. We probably stop here, dilly-dally, whatever. But I truly think that by the end of the year, we will see at a minimum 46 cents to a maximum of $1.17. And I say maximum. This is just the expected minimum to maximum. Unexpected things can happen. Unexpected things could happen. Maybe we're at $1.60 or more by the end of the year. I certainly wouldn't be surprised if we saw those targets by the end of January. And we could move up a whole lot higher, guys. Zora, by the end of this cycle, could see prices that are $5, $15, give or take, right? 100x from here would be about a $28 billion market cap, and that's a lot. That's a huge amount of money. It's a large amount of growth, 100x. But for coins that stand out, that captivate the markets, that have their own spotlight, like Zora, you could see a 20 to $60 billion market cap, easy, easy. So with that, I'm just saying, $15, $4.20, somewhere in there by the end of the cycle. That's what I would think. That's Zora. Let's talk about KTA now. KTA USD. If anybody's wondering if it's a good time to buy Zora, my answer is yes. My answer is yes for all of these. KTA, Zora, Cookie DAO, all at phenomenal prices to buy, right? We look at KTA here from a low to a high. You actually closed right at the 886 for support. Now you're contesting the golden ratio, which is good. You want to contest the golden ratio from the bottom. You want to come up and close above it. So that'll validate this as a low. Really closing above the 236, I think, validates this as a low. So we can get really excited once we're back above 51.5 cents. We're at 38 cents now. That's a little ways away. But what we're seeing here, just imagine KTA comes up like this, right? You've got this W shape. Typically, W's, what happens is you'll move up. This leg of the W is slower than this leg is. This leg is typically faster. We're in this leg right now. So as long as this took, and I'm assuming that we're looking at this W the right way. I think it started here. That took about 26 days. I don't know how much time this will take, right? 26 days would be, by the end of the month of November. That would be back above $1.28. I think it'll take half the time. Maybe instead of 26, maybe it takes 13 days. And in which case we could expect next week, it's the 9th now, on the 17th, next Monday, we could really be all the way up back here at about $1.20, $1.40, somewhere around there. And typically with W patterns, typically what you see is that the price will go just above where the W began. So you'll probably consolidate just above there, form some kind of bull flag, and then continue to rally, breaking out to new all-time highs altogether, going into the end of the month of November or December. All in all, what we're focused on right now is just getting above this high, right? Because the exciting stuff happens. I know it's exciting. It's exciting whenever you go from a low of 27 cents and you're up at 50 cents, you're up at 60 cents, whatever. But the exciting stuff really doesn't happen until we're at 63 cents. When we break above that point there, that's when things really will pick up the pace. And already, again, with the W thought here, with the fact that it starts up here and it probably ends above there, we can kind of discount these primary targets, right? The 1272 to the 1618. Maybe we find some turbulence there. Maybe you consolidate a little bit there, whatever. But you probably continue to the 1886 or higher range. Now, the way that I have these fibs laid out is the 1618 to the 1272 is a target zone in itself. The 1886 to the 2618 is another target zone in itself. Secondary target zone, primary target zone. You activate the secondary target as far as access goes once you're above the golden ratio. So in other words, when we break above about $1.04, we are immediately granted access to anything from $1.30 to $2.33. Now, we hear that and we think, okay, so it's going to 233. I can already hear a lot of your thoughts going off, right? Stop it. We're going to go to 233. We're going to go to $20. KTA has the potential to go to $100 by the end of the cycle. No doubt, it really does. If we look at KTA here, let's just look. KTA, the market cap is 164. This thing has guys, we could see a $40 billion, $60 billion market cap with this. Maybe it's only at 20 billion. I don't know, but tens of billions of dollars by the end of the cycle. I very much believe. From here, 100x is 16 billion, 200x is 32 billion. A 100x would put you at $37, 200x would put you at $70. You could see a $100 price with this thing. Absolutely, you could. You really, really could. Anyways, getting distracted here. 233 is the top end of our secondary zone, and we've already accepted that we're probably not going to stop in the primary zone. But I doubt we move all the way up from here to 233 by the end of this month. Maybe we do. But I would think that our next kind of stopping point is going to be somewhere between $1.30 and $1.80, somewhere here. So low end $1.30, high end $1.80. You typically do go just above the 2272 if you interact with that. So maybe like $1.85, $1.90, whatever. But I'm personally a fan of this $1.30 to $1.42 area for resistance. We'll consolidate, pull back to the golden ratio to find support, or the 1414 to find support, and then we'll move up higher from there going into the end of November or December. Likely by the end of the year, KTA will see prices that are above $3. That'd be my expectation. Which from the current price implies then that by the end of the year we'll see a 7.5x, maybe as much as a 13x, maybe more. We don't know. Time will tell. But I don't really have anything else that I want to talk about for KTA, so let's move on to Cookie. We take a high here to a low there. Talking about cycle ending targets. I mean, I would at least think KTA goes to 20 cents. I would at least, sorry, $20. I would at least think KTA goes to $20. If not, $30, $33 looks promising. This $54 to $81 zone is very promising, and of course you can go higher. We could see $100. It's just such a new chart. We don't really have all the data in front of us, or we don't have, let's say, reliable Fibonacci extensions. We could stop somewhere that doesn't quote unquote make sense based off of this fib, but maybe it makes sense off of another fib that we later develop. But I'm getting ahead of myself. All I'm trying to say is by the end of the cycle, $20 to $100. It could go above $100, but we're already talking about a 260x move. Let's wait and see. Okay, let's just wait and see. But you really could. You have the capacity to see even double, as crazy as that is, man. Because what, 260, 100x from here is 16. Let's just say it's 17 billion. Let's round up. 200x is 34. So if 400x is $68 billion, that is pushing the envelope, but it's possible. I mean, you could see like $150 by the end of the cycle. As crazy as that might sound, we've seen, this is my third bull market, man. I've seen crazy. Don't tell me what sounds crazy. I've seen crazy. I've been a part of crazy. Crazy is, oh man, crazy is a 10x overnight, right? Don't tell me what crazy is. I've seen crazy. I've been a part of it, man. That crazy stuff can happen. But the thing is, if you think it's crazy, if you think that a 400x is crazy and it'll never happen, guess what? It won't. It won't happen. Even if the price goes all the way up here, it won't happen for you because you're going to sell here. 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 Wherever is not crazy to you, you're going to sell, right? If you want these crazy price predictions to happen, you have to at least believe that they're possible. And again, just because I believe it's possible, some people hear that and they're like, okay, we're living in a fantasy world. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about believe in fairies and they will exist. No, I'm saying if you don't believe in them, you're never going to see them. It's never going to happen. Maybe they do exist, but you're not looking. I don't know, right? If you think 400x is too ludicrous, you're going to be selling at $20 or $10 or well before we even get to those levels, right? That doesn't mean that we're going to get here. But from my experience, which is 10 years now in the crypto markets, and what I've seen from serious projects, layer one blockchains like KTA, things that have potential to stand out from the rest of the market and outperform things I'm talking about like Solana, like DOT last cycle, or Avalanche, Bored Apes, right? Whatever. The Dogecoin, the big standout coins that pump in every single alt season, they see market caps anywhere from like 20 to 60 billion on average. Some of them in their first cycle get to $80 billion, as much as $80 billion, but that's really pushing it. You don't really typically see prices above 60 billion in a market cap valuation. You don't typically get to these levels, but it can happen. You don't typically get above $60 billion, but it can happen. That's all I'm trying to say. Anyways, but it won't happen for you if you don't believe it can happen, right? That doesn't mean just believe in a multi-billion X and one day it'll get there. That's not what I'm saying. If that's what you're taking away from this, you're telling me right now that you do not have comprehensive capabilities, and that's okay. But let's move on. 7.7 cents right here. Low to high, we're finding support right in our golden ratio zone. It's perfect. Perfect for Cookie DAO. We have very high prospects for Cookie too. Since we're talking about all-time highs for KTA, let's just jump right into it for Cookie DAO. I'm not going to take this low because I'm going to count that as a fake out low. Really, we're measuring the retracement of this move, not the overall range. I think that Cookie DAO by the end of this cycle will see at a minimum $7.50 to $10. At a maximum $46, though I'm really starting to doubt that $46 happens, right? That's a lot of growth in a short amount of time. For a long time, we made sense out of this area, and sure, it's possible, but we'd have to have one hell of a reaction by the end of this year or by the end of January at the very most to make this a considerable area to go to. Okay, we'd have to have one hell of a reaction. What's one hell of a reaction? I don't know. Let's pump to let's go to $3.90 by the end of the year or by the end of January. If we're there, okay, maybe we can get to $46 by the end of the cycle. Okay, maybe. But at the moment, I'm considering $7.50 to $20 to be the target. Because again, the 2272 typically go a little bit above there, maybe $25, right? Something like that, which is still crazy. 300x to 97x, almost a 100x potential. A lot of potential here for Cookie DAO. And we're at a point of which I do think that we're going to find support, of which we are finding support. We look at the daily time frame here, you're bouncing off of your oversold zone, bearish overall, but not bad, kind of neutral. When you're moving sideways and you're choppy like this, your indicators aren't that helpful, right? And I think here, looking at the weekly time frame, we have bullish divergence on the MACD, bullish divergence on the stochastics. The stochastics are very suggestive that we're about to move up, actually. And on the RSI, you have lower lows in your RSI while still actually having higher lows. Oh, I guess not. Technically, if in 6 hours and 54 minutes we close here, then we technically do have lower lows here. But if we could close this week above like 7.8 cents, then we have extreme hidden bearish divergence between these 2 points here. And regardless, I do think that we're going to move up higher any day now. Cookie Dow should be, I think, by the end of November, somewhere around 30 to 40 cents. Okay. If we're not there, it's because we're higher. Going into the end of the year, I'm assuming that Cookie Dow will be near its all-time highs, maybe even at new all-time highs, but I would think something between about $1 and 60 cents by the end of the year is my thoughts. If I'm wrong, it's only because we moved up higher, and I hope I'm wrong. I do hope I'm wrong. But if we look at this from a high to a low, the considerable targets to target, considerable prices to target would be at like $1.65 to $3.90. And maybe we're here by the end of the year. I think we'll be pushing into this zone more in January, but we'll see. Prices that are above $2, prices that are above $3 might be reserved for April, May. We'll see, or even like March, something like that, and then like going into our finale finish where we could top off at $7.50 to $10 or $20. We'll see, right? But it just depends. If we're around here by the end of the year, but we're not around here, then we likely top off here. If we're around here by the end of the year, then we could likely top off here. If we're around here by the end of the year, we could likely top off here or even $46, but it just depends, right? It really depends. And calling for a $4 price, calling for what would be effectively a 50x between now and the next month and a half, it's just not something that I'm comfortable with. It's not that it can't happen. I've seen it happen before. Man, we've seen it happen before with Cookie Dow. That was a 42x, but still. That doesn't mean that it has to happen again. But at any rate, spectacular growth between now and the end of the year, for sure. By the end of the cycle, for sure. Multi-100x potential. I wouldn't be surprised if we were at $1.65 by the end of the year, but being above that at this point, I would be a little bit surprised. But we'll see. Maybe by the end of November, it's a totally different talk. Maybe by the end of November, we're already up here and we're thinking of higher targets. But Cookie Dow definitely has some high prices in mind, some things that will impress by the end of the cycle. I don't got anything else to say. I think I'm done. So hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all. Take care of yourselves, all right? Bye-bye.